Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. Welcome back to another episode of our top five albums of the 1970s. We're going from 1970 to 1979. In this episode, we are covering 1973. I am joined by Mr. Bill Schuster. How you doing, Bill?
Good, Armando. Good.
That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Bill's idea for a show topic, and I like damn he ran with it. And so what we're going to do here is give you our top five albums of 1973 plus two honorable mentions. Because like I said in the previous episode, if I had to work to come up with the top five, Bill had to work to come up with the two honorable mentions. So he wasn't going to get away with it. So I will hand the virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster to give us his number five for 1973.
All right. Thank you, Armando. I'm going to have an artist appear for the second time, and it's another anomaly in his catalog. The
Mm-hmm.
first one was a bit of a novelty, and some would say this is also. Um, and it's a covers album, which is unusual. I've tried to avoid covers albums and live albums in this. I wanted to stick with original studio albums generally, but this is a definite exception. This was recommended to my dad a long time ago, and it
Mm-hmm.
kind of became a staple in our family. This is another one that goes back to a song from here was one I used to sing the kids to sleep with, and this is a little touch of Schmilson in the Night by Harry Nilsson, and this is he's working with Gordon Jenkins, who of course was a arranger who worked with Sinatra and so many other classic singers. And Harry took this project very seriously. He didn't think this was any sort of joke at all. Um, and Gordon Jenkins himself made the comment something along the lines of Harry was possibly the best singer he had worked with, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty impressive. The guy worked with Sinatra. So take that for what you will. But
Mm-hmm.
these are all classic, great American songbook songs, the stuff from the 20s, 30s, 40s type era. Probably the most popular on here is As Time Goes By, which of course is famous for being used in Casablanca. Uh,
That's right.
this album jump started my love of the Great American Songbook and some of these old things. I like lots of other versions. I love, say, Ella Fitzgerald's versions of some of these songs, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But almost every one of these songs, to me, the definitive version is right here. It's absolutely gorgeous. The string arrangements on this are beautiful. It's just such a relaxing album. It's sonic perfection. I can't say enough great things about this. Uh, there is, I have another version which has bonus tracks, which I thought was pretty cool because I never knew there were any until a number of years back. I found out there were like six bonus tracks added on, including Over the Rainbow, among others. But really, the original 12-track album is perfect, and it's all you need. Highly recommended to anyone who's looking for something a bit off the beaten path. And if you know Harry Nilsson's voice, you know he can handle this
Yeah, he
quite
can.
nicely.
He can. No problem at all. No, definitely. Um, that's a good choice. It's a good choice. Um, my number five is, let's see here. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. My number five is Billy Cobham with, oh, sorry, with Spectrum.
Nice.
Debut release for Atlantic. Billy Cobham, a jazz fusion drummer, rock drummer, mostly jazz fusion. Had Tommy Bolin working on some of the playing guitar on some of the tracks on this album. Amazing album, Quadrant 4, Searching for the Right Door, the title track, Anxiety, Tarian, Matador. All these songs are fantastic, very intricate, very layered, very complex. But again, it's one of those albums that I just got into recently. Uh, but it's just one of those albums you can put on whether you're alone or whether you've got people over and you just leave it low, or you can just turn it up and just blast it and just enjoy, you know. Um, so that's my number five.
It's a great choice. I have a copy on the shelves behind me there.
Hmm,
Excellent album.
cool.
Um, let's see here. Number four. Well, this should come as no surprise that these guys are here, considering that they were my number one last year. This time they only get to number four, though, with their second album, Countdown to Ecstasy.
Hmm.
But if you're at number four in any year in this decade, that's quite an accomplishment. Uh,
Yep.
this is no David Palmer, but other than that, it's still the original Steely Dan band before
Yeah.
it became the Baker Fagan show. And as I've said many times, this is my favorite period because they were a band, and I liked what the other guys brought to the table. And uh, it's a little warm. You can see this picture of the band. You can see Skunk Baxter with his worn out boots kicked up on the equipment there, just all relaxed with his little pork chop mustache. And
Yep. Yep.
uh,
Good
yeah,
album.
Bodhisattva, Showbiz Kids, and My Old School. Those are the songs that are generally played the most. But I am especially fond of King of the World and Pearl of the Quarter, the two songs that end the album.
That's right.
They're very
That's right.
different songs from each other, too. Pearl is just a lovely, heartfelt little ballad sort of thing you don't get much from Steely Dan.
Yep.
There, it seemed really sincere and not this winking, ironic, sardonic, sarcastic, typical Becker Fagan stuff, which was quite
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And King of the World it's almost a prog rock track, and of course my favorite artist Joe Jackson did a live cover on this. He's a Steely Dan fan too,
Hmm.
so that's one to check out. Also
Yep.
curious.
Oh, cool. It's a good one. Um, my number four is Mike Oldfield with Tubular Bells. Um, debut release for Mike Oldfield. He was 19 at the time when he wrote this album and produced it at the Manor, Richard Branson's place, I believe it was. Um, debut release for Virgin Records, two side-long epic tracks. Most people identify Tubular Bells with the opening to The Exorcist. Yeah, yeah. I won't even go there. You know what I mean? Like in
More
terms
special
of
effects.
what she says, you know what I mean? I won't even go there. Um, don't watch the crucifix scene, guys. It's bad. Um, I my brother-in-law, who's no longer with us, or ex-brother-in-law, turned me on to this album. I just think he is a unique artist. He plays most of the instruments himself. I do like the ending of the track where the I guess you call it the master of ceremonies is listing off all the instruments that are played on the track. And as he says them, the instrument comes in and plays the section. I forget the name of Vivian, I forget his last name, who play, served as the master of ceremonies. This album has been released various times, various versions. The most recent version that was done on CD has it's a 2003 remake with John Cleese as a master of ceremonies from Monty Python, uh, famous actor. Um, I think it was just a very daring and bold, adventurous piece of music. There was supposed to be a Tubular Bells 4 that was going to come out, but Michael Field has decided to retire, and the only way you're going to get any music from Tubular Bells 4 is if you buy the remastered 50th anniversary edition and get on the album, there's a demo version of Tubular Bells 4 that's 8 minutes plus. So that's the only way you're going to get it. So that's my number four.
Nice. I can't tell you how many times of the various keyboards I've owned over the years that I have tried to yeah, figure out that main melody from Tubular Bells. That's like an automatic go to. It pops in my head when I see keys there. Okay, yeah, this yeah,
Yeah,
great stuff.
it's hard to do, and it was just a unique piece of music. And like again, the first 4 minutes of the track are used in The Exorcist. People seem to think that it's used throughout the movie, the whole movie, but it's not. And if you can find there's a video on YouTube of them of Michael Field doing Tubular Bells for the BBC, featuring Steve Hilliage on guitar live in the studio. So, yeah, check it out. Your number three.
All right, this is the one I do not have a prop for, but it is my favorite album by this band and has my favorite song by this band. Uh, it is "Houses of the Holy" by Led Zeppelin, and yeah, my favorite song by the band is the Rain Song. Absolutely gorgeous. You were speaking earlier about those albums that have one song that elevates them. That well, I think the whole album is great. To me, the Rain Song is that kind of song that is strong enough that it could carry an entire album. It is just so utterly gorgeous. What John Paul Jones in particular did with this song is just
Yeah,
spine tingling. It the beauty of these sounds just never gets old for me.
Mellotron galore.
Yes. Uh, yeah, he is absolutely the unsung hero in Zeppelin, but of course Zeppelin fans know that.
Hmm.
Yeah, the whole album is great. I know people like to smack talk about the crunge and Jamaica. I disagree. I love both those songs. I never knew until many years later that they were reggae and funk tributes. That they were giving a shout out to James Brown. Has anybody seen the bridge? And becoming a James Brown fan later, I got it more. And of course, being more familiar with reggae later, I got the Jamaica thing and the
Yeah,
title reference and all. But
yeah.
those are great songs. They're fun. And the whole bridge thing, if you know James Brown, if you've heard anything, you get what the joke is, and it becomes a whole separate thing. But the track itself is killer. Though, I mean,
Yeah, and the bridge referring to a piece of music, like a piece of a section of a track of a song, of a piece of music, right? Take it to the bridge.
yeah, James let's tell his band, take me to the bridge.
Where's
Yeah,
that confounded bridge? I mean, like, that's how he ends the track, right? So yeah, it's good. It's good. Um, my number three, your number three, right? I don't want to get screwed up again.
yeah,
Um,
great.
is let's see, Billy Joel with Piano Man. Singer-songwriter, troubadour, whatever you want to call him. Fantastic album with Traveling Prayer, title track, You're My Home, which to me is simply beautiful.
Yes,
And if a song was to save an album, aside from Piano Man, this would be the song. It's a simple, poetic love song. It could be a love song to your partner, your wife, just a friend saying that, you know, whatever happens, you are why I'm here. You are my anchor. Um, and again, falls in line with Elton John being the singer-songwriter, James Taylor, singer-songwriter, all these singer-songwriter types that were out in the 70s. Um, it's a good album, and that's my number three.
yeah, that is a very good album. And yeah, "You're My Home" is unsung. It needs more. I've always loved that song, and I do want to throw in a quick shout to the Ballad of Billy the Kid and Captain Jack. Both
That's
those
right.
songs are little mini epics. They're some of my favorite Billy Joel tracks. Great
That's right. I
choice.
have that in my notes. Billy the Kid. Ain't no, yeah, son of a bitch. Okay, cool. It's good. It's good.
Right. All right, my number two, again with a this is my favorite album by this band, and it's also their debut. I think you might guess where I'm going with this.
I have a feeling.
I
Ah,
mean,
uh-huh.
they got more experimental later on. They did lots of interesting, cool things later on, but this album is in my heart. This I can't say enough good things about it. It never gets old. They're not just the Zeppelin clones that they were accused of being back then. They were
Yeah.
already creative. They were already Queen. What my God, this whole band is just great in this album. But Brian's guitar from the moment, if you get a decent copy on even remotely decent sound system, it doesn't have to be expensive, but the way those razor sharp guitars just on Keep Yourself Alive open up the album, it just I just want to duck because I feel like there are blades coming at me from around the room.
Yeah.
His guitar is so sharp. He had that distinctive sound right off the bat. Um, that and Liar are probably the closest things that passed for hits on this album, though they weren't necessarily really hits. They got some radio play, and of course, Keep Yourself Alive was on the original Queen Greatest Hits album, even though it wasn't necessarily a hit. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the whole album is perfection. Though Roger Taylor's little modern times rock and roll, short, sweet, hard, and heavy. Just
Blistering.
yeah, great King Rat. Oh my God, great King Rat was a dirty old man, and a dirty old man was he.
Yeah.
What tell you? Would you like to see? Ah, yeah. I won't try to hit the Freddie notes either, but
Yeah. I couldn't even, no, never mind. I wouldn't even go there. I mean, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, that's right there with the Annie Haslam notes. I'm not even going to attempt to break anybody's eardrums or my own vocal cords or make the
Oh,
dogs bark more.
no,
But yeah, that's a timeless album. Absolutely adore it.
oh, I know. I know. And it's true. It's true. People tend to forget that Queen were a heavy rock band in the
Oh yeah,
beginning.
big time.
Um, my number two is Nazareth with Razamanaz. Uh, balls to the wall rock. Heavy licks, heavy drums. Those again, those raspy whiskey drenched vocals from Dan McCafferty. Holy shit! Title track again out of the gate, grab you by the throat and slams you into the wall. Just unrelenting. Alcatraz, beautiful. Woke up this morning. The re-recording of Woke Up This Morning. My dog was dead. Just an amazing bad boy, broken down angel, um, night woman, just like unreal in the begin. Like Nazareth had a run of albums in the beginning of their career that were like with Queen, untouchable, just blistering, brutal, unrelenting, unforgiving, fantastic rock music. Um, as you can tell, I like Nazareth. Um, that's my number two.
It's good to see you
Razzmatazz.
giving all the Nazareth love here. They don't. They say they really don't get mentioned enough in these kinds of things. So yeah, I'm glad to see you giving them some love.
Mhm.
They are
Amazing.
quite.
Amazing.
My number one. Well, this was probably the second biggest no-brainer of the entire '70s for me. After, well, in the next episode, we'll have my all-time favorite album. So that was the biggest no-brainer. But this is very close, and it's also very close to being my all-time favorite album. Of course, it's Dark Side of the Moon. People, come on! It's 1973. Dark Side of the Moon. I couldn't pick anything else. There was just no way. Not even the glory of Queen's debut could surpass this masterpiece.
Traitor.
You all know it. It's been played to death. Every song for 50 years now has been played on the radio, and it's still wonderful from start to finish. I still want to listen to
Yeah.
it as an entire album. And my God, Claire Torrey's vocals still give me chills. Richard Wright's melodies, Roger's lyrics, Dave's guitar playing, Nick's little sound effects and bits and pieces, and it's just perfection. Oh, and don't forget Dick Perry on sax. It's he adds definitely just as important a touch as Claire did with her vocals. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and again, this can't really see it very well in the rainbow, but my dad's name, Glenn. is green markered in across the rainbow. I forgot about that. So this is apparently the original copy from 1973 too.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And it still sounds great. I'll put this record on. It still sounds amazing.
Yeah.
50 years, 51 years later now.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's a good choice. It's a good choice. I'm glad somebody mentioned it. I tried to stay away from albums that were almost expected to come up, right? My number one album is Queen.
Hey,
Yeah, I believe I saw it somewhere, but there we go. I mean, everyone knows I love Queen. I will love Queen until I leave this earth. The debut album, yes, according to Brian May, the drum sound is not great. Yes, The Night Comes Down is the demo of the song that was recorded at Delaney Lee Studios, and that is the one track that has the clear drum sound on it. But you know what? This album kicks fucking ass. I'm sorry. Keep Yourself Alive, Doing All Right, with co-written by Tim Staffel, Great King Rat with the different time signature changes and sections. Yes, he was a Dirty Old Man, and Dirty Old Man was he. My Fairy King with the ethereal, heavenly vocal phrasings from the band. Just amazing with the lyrics. Mother Mercury, look what you've done to me. I cannot run, I cannot hide. Um, Poetic. I'm sorry. Um,
making me want to listen to the album.
yeah, Liar, that starts off on side two, which started out as a song called Lover from written by Freddie Mercury when he was in a band called Wreckage. Okay. Um, 6 minutes and 30 some odd seconds of amazing attack, amazing guitar, amazing drums. Uh, there is a 3 minute, 10-second version of this track as a single. If you can find it, good luck, because Brian May said it would never be released to the public. When it was originally released as a single with Doing All Right as the B-side, it was never going to be re-released again. The Night Comes Down, Modern Times Rock and Roll, Son and Daughter, Jesus, the teaser to Seven Seas of Rye. Every track on this album effing works. I'm sorry. No ifs, ands, or big ass buts about it. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. And I make no apologies. That's my number one.
Nice.
So we have two honorable mentions before Bill's phone dies. Um, I will give him that Bill give us his first honorable mention.
All right. Well, my first is somewhat predictable. He's been in every episode thus far, which is why I'm wearing the shirt
Oh
because
Jesus.
I knew he was going to be. When are you going to come down? When are you going to land? I don't know. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road. It's not my favorite Elton John, but it's certainly a top five. I'm not one of the folks who says it's a perfect album. I think there are two or three kind of fillery tracks. I'm not a big fan of Dirty Girl or Jamaica Jerk Off. They're fine for what they are, but there are so many masterful tracks on this album that absolutely outweigh those few weak moments. And
Yeah.
wow, yeah, there's a reason it's his most popular, most
Yeah.
legendary album.
Yeah.
Everybody, Funeral for a Friend, Love Lies Bleeding,
Oh my
Candle in
God.
the
Yeah.
that's I still to this day am irritated by the fact that so many people associate Candle in the Wind with that version done for Diana rather than the original
The
Norma Jean.
original. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the original is still great. Sweet Painted Lady. All the girls love Alice. That's one of those FM staples that, again, somewhat surprisingly, somewhat potentially controversial lyrics at the time.
Yeah.
Not so much now, but back then, yeah.
Yeah.
And Gray Seal is another great track on this album. I love singing along with that. That used to get played a lot on the radio here in the States. I don't know if it still does, but
Mm.
and the
Yeah.
artwork, this is again I love the interior. The illustrations that go along with the lyrics are great.
Yeah,
There's the
definitely.
band, of course. Yeah, this is one of those complete album packages. Uh,
Hmm.
it's well worth having the physical media just to revel in the packaging and just. And
Hmm.
that's is that not the perfect picture of Elton John at this point in time when he truly became a superstar?
Yeah, yeah, because he was just on his way to, I mean, he was a star, but he started this journey and he was going to take it to the very end. So,
Yeah,
and
and
that
he's
paint, yeah, and that cover illustrates it perfectly. Yeah, that's a good one. Um, my first honorable mention is, and don't get pissed off at me, guys, Genesis and Selling England by the Pound. Um, 8 tracks, one of their longest single disc releases, 51 minutes or something, and apparently it shows in the music because it sounds a little thin, according to Tony Banks. They had to screw around with the EQ in order to get all of the music that they wanted on the album. So, good album. Dancing with the Moonlit Night. I Know What I Like in My Wardrobe. More Fool Me. The Battle of Epping Forest. I mean, it is a fantastic album. Um, and because just the fact that it's an honorable mention doesn't mean that it suffers anything in terms of the quality of the music, in terms of the composition. It's just you have to put these somewhere, right? So, and this is where the band started to kind of fall apart. They were having arguments about certain songs that they wanted to record to be put on the album. It was usually between Banks and Gabriel about with these arguments. And Gabriel would basically stick up for Hackett, whereas Banks wouldn't. Um, but that's what my first honorable mention. Over to Bill.
excellent choice. If they're pissed off at you, the Genesis fans, they're really pissed off at me because I haven't mentioned a single Genesis album yet, and I have Nursery Crime on the wall up there
I
behind me.
can
It
see
didn't.
that. That's right.
I
That's
didn't
right.
mention Foxtrot, and I'm not going to mention Selling England by the Pound. That's the distinction here with this game, folks. This is Genesis is a top 10 artist for me. I adore Genesis, but
Mm,
this is not artist catalogs. This is individual albums.
that's right.
So I put the Genesis catalog overall above many of the artists' catalogs that I've mentioned. I have to look at each individual album and what it means to me.
Hmm.
Spoiler alert, they will appear later. But for now, I'm going completely different direction in a country rock direction, if you
Okay.
can even put a genre to this band. They were rather bizarre, and their biggest hit was Jackie Blue, but that's not really a definition of their sound, and it's not on this album. This is their debut album. It's the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Uh, Side one is one of the most perfect album sides of all time for me. Side two is great also, but really this band is so bizarre and eclectic. Country rock, calling them that does a disservice to them because they are kind of all over the map. They have multiple
Yeah.
singers and songwriters.
Yeah.
Uh, my favorite song by them is on here on side one. Spaceship Orion is just this beautiful melodic song about essentially the last days of Earth, and someone is getting picked up by an alien spaceship Orion, to take them away, and it's a very
Oh,
touching song.
geez. Okay.
And it starts out with Country Girl. With there's a harmonica on here, folks. Be warned. So
Oh my God,
if
a
you're
real authentic harmonica? Really?
oh
Oh
yeah,
my
look at
God.
these guys. The back picture of the band sitting on a porch.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Deliverance. Deliverance.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, it's gorgeous. If you want to get to heaven, is probably the most popular song on here. That used to
Mm,
get played on the radio a lot. If you want to get to heaven, you got to raise a little hell.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
That's kind of their only other hit besides Jackie Blue. Do you remember Jackie Blue?
Yeah. That's the one I know them for. Yeah. Yeah.
And that, again, you compare that to If You Want to Get to Heaven, how different those two songs are. That kind of gives you an idea of how eclectic this band is overall.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, Chicken Train is another one that I'll mention just to give a chuckle to the family because we used to keep chickens and have coops in the yard and everything, and we would always sing along. Chicken Train. It's another song, has lots of harmonica and Chicken Train running all day. Can't get on, can't get off. Chicken Train, take the chickens away.
Oh my
It's
God.
goofy as hell and it's fun. I mean, the fact that something that goofy is right next to the song that follows, the gorgeous Colorado song. Uh,
Mm.
you just have to hear it to really get this, folks. But
Yeah.
if you listen to side one of this debut album, Country Girl, Spaceship Orion, If You Want to Get to Heaven, Chicken Train, Colorado song, if you don't find anything you like there, move on. The Ozark Mountain Daredevils are not for you. But highly recommended to anyone who has never explored the catalog. Love them.
Cool. Cool. Um, can't get over you singing there, Bill, like that. It was kind of
If you want to call it singing.
quite funny. My last honorable mention for 1973 is Alice Cooper with Billion Dollar Babies. Um, Fantastic album. This was the last album that they would release before the Alice Cooper band broke up and Vincent Fournier took the name Alice Cooper. He's actually been he actually changed his name officially to Alice Cooper, guys. With songs like Hello, Hooray, Generation Landslide, I Love the Dead, the title track with the trading off vocals with Donovan. This to me is where, and I've said this before in other videos, but sue me, I'm going to say it again. This is where Alice Cooper was going in the direction of theater rock, right? Also songs like Marianne, um, beautiful track. But again, it's a combination of rock and theater, uh, perfectly melded together. It's even like with Hello Hooray, the lead off track, it's like you're walking into a theater, you're sitting in your seats, the doors close, they're locked, and you are watching a concert or a production for at least an hour and a half, and you're not allowed to get up and leave until the production is over. That is what this album is about. So, yeah, and it's production wise flawless. Flawless. Again, you can see where he was going with Welcome to My Nightmare, the next album, his solo debut. But this was at a point too where the band were getting pissed off with Bob Ezrin and his quote unquote, as they perceived, dominance over the band. Um, this Bill laughs at me when I say that. But he was getting some pushback from the band about arrangements on songs, and he didn't want to work with them anymore because he didn't want to come up against that kind of resistance anymore. So he left. Um, it is a fantastic album. And again, all of these albums that we mentioned, you can stream them on YouTube. So I want to thank Bill, before I make another screw up, anything more you want to mention?
Uh, I'll just a brief comment on yours. I think though Love It to Death and Killer are great albums. Billion Dollar Babies, I think, is the best album by the original Alice Cooper group.
Yeah.
And I side with Bob Ezrin. Bob's a master. He improves so much that he is involved with. He adds a lot more than most producers, and you can tell his touch because he brings some magic. So sorry to the original band. I love those guys, especially
Yeah.
Dennis Dunaway, but Bob Ezrin has magic in his producer fingertips, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. And it's been well documented that that is what happened, that, he was working on, like they were working on some arrangements in the studio, and Bob Ezrin gave a suggestion maybe it could go in this, modulate here, modulate whatever. And they said, no, we like the way it is. We're going to keep it the way it is. And he was like, okay, like backing up kind of thing. He's like, I can't do this anymore. Um, so um, that is this episode, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Bill for joining me again for a top 5 songs in 1973. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going through from 1970 again to 1979. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to air these episodes weekly or every other day because there are a lot of episodes to get through. But again, this was fun. And if this goes well, we're going to continue this into the 80s. So again, I want to thank Mr. Bill Schuster for coming up with the idea and helping me out with this and bearing with me with all the mistakes I've made. It is a Friday, guys. Anyways, and I haven't had a drink yet, so we're good to go. So for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti. Again, wherever it is, if it's freezing outside, please keep warm. If it's warm, please cool off. Do what you need to do. And above all else, look after yourselves and one another. I am Armando Venditti saying goodbye from Mr. Bill Schuster. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend and we'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now.